everybody. Chris McDonald with you. We're grateful to have you on a McFile Thursday night. We were supposed to have had a early bird show, but that didn't work out. We'll explain reasons why later. No big deal. We're grateful to have my dear friend Magdalen Rose. She's just not my friend. She's my goddaughter. I claim her as my own when she lets me, but I'm so grateful to have her tonight. It is good to see you, kid. How are you doing? And, man, what a week in the country. What a last 3 weeks in the country. But just things keep rocking right along. Good to see you. How are you tonight?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
You're always welcome here. You're the future host. If the Lord decides to take me on, you're going to be sitting here, and you'll add a lot more civility and smartness and intelligence to this than the current host does. So you're auditioning each night you do this. I'm getting you warmed up for the audience. So I just want you to know that. Hey, what's your thoughts on this shutdown? Who do you think the Dems going to hold out to the end, or do you think that they're going to finally see the light and stop this madness that's going on in D.C. tonight? What's your thoughts?
Well, I think the shutdown in general, I don't think it's a big deal. And I know that Democrats constantly want us to believe it is. They want us to believe that the shutdown is going to destroy America. They tried this in the first Trump administration, where they would try to say that the shutdown was so detrimental and it was such a problem. And it really wasn't. And I think that one of the problems is that Republicans finally understand problems for Democrats, meaning Republicans finally understand that if the government shuts down, all we have is the ability to find out the waste, fraud, and abuse that's been going on. Whereas if the government shuts down, Democrats look like fools. So I think they should keep it shut down for as long as needed, give on nothing. When Trump signed that first bill to continue funding the government way back in his first administration, that was kind of the beginning of the end in terms of bowing down to rhinos. He shouldn't do that. Keep it shut down, make Democrats come to the table.
But Democrats come to the table. Do you think they will?
I think they will. I think Hakeem Jeffries, first of all, Hakeem Jeffries is so out of his league. He has no idea what he's doing. Chuck Schumer, at least, is time and tested in this process. But I think for someone like Hakeem Jeffries, he has absolutely no leverage. What is the leverage? That they'll keep the government shut down? Republican voters don't care about that. They never have. So if you are going to come to the table and you're going to try to negotiate with Donald Trump, you have no leverage. The American people don't care what you do. I think they're in a place now where Democrats have to figure out what to do. Hakeem Jeffries has been wildly ineffective. And if you look at how ruffled in his feathers someone like him has become over the sombrero joke that Trump's team has been playing the last 2 days, that's not an indicator of real leadership.
Would you have got offended if I'd have put a sombrero hat on you? I don't think you would have got offended to that, would you? We're adults. You're an adult. I'm an adult. I thought it'd been funny. People put all sorts of memes on me, and in 8 years I've never got offended. Some of them, I sort of laugh with them. I used to be on Right Wing Watch like every night, and it got to the point that I almost demanded a blender because I figured their ratings were shooting up because of the McFiles, and they went on to other things. But goodness, what is this lack of thick skin in Washington? You would think these Dems, they're just a bunch of morons. Can I just say it? I saw Clay Travis tonight on Jesse, and he said something very acute, and I'll get you to chime in on this. He said that, when he was growing up, he said before he got into all the podcasting and the political stuff, he said he really thought these politicians, even the Dems, were shrewd, strategic, thought things out. And he said, watching this bunch act they're acting over the last 2 years with this woke, really going back to the Biden years, these last 4 years, he said they are just a bunch of boring morons because they can't do anything but act like a bunch of weaselly, mealy-mouthed children that don't get their way, petulant children throwing their peas and corns from a baby chair because they don't get their way. Is that a pretty accurate description of the Democrat Party?
I think so. And for Democrats at this point, they look like fools. Republicans are arguing to keep the government shut down because we don't want to fund endless funding for illegal migrants.
Absolutely.
And on the flip side of that, Democrats are shutting down the government to do that. And it's really ridiculous. And even the Democrat media machine, which I really think in the last 2 years has really depleted quite a bit. They are posting videos of themselves walking around Congress going where are the Republicans? I don't know, Does that strike you as a well put together, calm strategy to post videos of your Democrat representatives walking around Congress pretending like it's an empty haunted house? I mean, that's what I've seen them doing all day. And on Donald Trump's side, the problem that Democrats have is that Trump does not need to reopen the government. He just doesn't. He's not running for re-election. He's a very dangerous individual in that, first of all, midterms will never, ever be decided based on a government shutdown. No one's going to care about that. And second of all, he's not running for re-election. So you've got literally nothing on him. Whereas Democrats, they keep the government shut down long enough, then Republicans can blame them for it to moderate Democrats. So if you're a pretty progressive Democrat right now, you're advocating, at least in private, I think, to get that government reopened because it's a lose-lose for you.
Well, there's 5 Democrats tonight, late tonight. Breitbart's reporting it that Ossoff, one of the Dems from my home state of Georgia, is one of them, and he is. They're getting ready to cry uncle. I'll put it like this. I'll be shocked if we go into the weekend. I got a notice today from our state park here in Tennessee, the Gatlinburg Smoky Mountain National Park, and they basically said that the government shutdown has not affected them. They're not shutting any stores. The rangers will be out. They assured everybody. So it's not like, this shutdown is having a big effect on people's lives, Maxwell. Nobody's feeling it. But I will tell you one thing I think is a silver lining in it. And I know the people that are going to lose their job is not going to like me for saying this, but we've got too much pork in D.C. still. We've still got a bureaucracy that needs to be cut into 16 million pieces. We are overstaffed with government jobs. And I think that Trump's decision and his threat, and it's really not a threat. He's going to do it if they keep this mess up. He's going to cut these non-essential jobs, and it's really what they've done. The Democrats are so stupid. They've given him carte blanche, and you mentioned him being dangerous. Well, he has been given carte blanche to do the very thing Doge was trying to do, and they kept suing him to stop him. Well, now there's no argument because the government shut down. He can say, hey, yeah, we ain't got no money. You've shut it down. These jobs are unessential. I think that's going to happen. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I think it is going to happen. And the truth is, the vast majority of the American people on both sides are not affected by this government shutdown. It's ridiculous. Democrats realized a long time ago they could weaponize government shutdowns to make them sort of like taboo for people to do on the Republican side. And that's what they did, but nobody cares on our side. Like, it's a ridiculous belief that somehow the government shutdowns are going to destroy America. That's not the case. That's never been the case. And I think it's peculiar that people are moving forward with that idea. And even more to that, one of the problems Republicans have consistently is that they're not hardcore enough on the conservative side. You can't accuse them of that now. Like, now they're even more hardcore than they typically are. So if you are a Republican, I think you should be looking around and realizing you're not going to get any points taken for being an even more hardcore Republican.
I'm with you, and as I said, I don't think we feel it. I don't think most Americans feel this tonight, and I think that it's just sort of, again, it's making the Dems look like the foolish idiot morons they are. And all I can say is, like the old saying goes, if your enemy's about to drive themselves off a cliff, just get out of the way, let them do it. And I think that's what Trump's letting them do tonight, and I think it's wise. Other big story today, we had a UK terror attack, Synagogue, crazy Muslim Islamic nut basically strapped himself with what looked to be bombs, drove a car into some people, stabbed, I think, 2 people to death, 3 are injured. That number, I think, has stayed the same. But it just reminds us that this world is very unsafe tonight. There seems to be a Muslim takeover. Have you been shocked at the speed that the Muslims have grabbed hold of power in this country? Because, it seems like it's a given that Mohammad Zandami is going to be elected mayor in New York just in 60 days. And you're going to have a Marxist communist. He keeps calling himself a Democrat socialist. I don't even know if the kid knows what that means. He's a Marxist communist. He's about to take over the biggest city in the world. Have you been shocked at the speed that this takeover has happened in our nation and the world?
No, because I think it's been going on for quite a long time, and I think now we're just seeing it escalate. And this is sort of the core problem I have with this new anti-Semitic push on the right, and even the anti-Israel pushes. So you're telling me that I'm supposed to believe genuinely that there's no correlation between a major anti-Israel, anti-Jew push and the explosion of Muslims at the highest levels of leadership in this country. I'm supposed to believe there's no connection between that. And I think the truth is, everyone's talking about the endless like Israeli money that's important to influencers, but we're not mentioning the fact that Qatar has done that for pro-Muslim influencers even much before Israel was doing it. And the idea that somehow we're supposed to see that the Muslim countries are the good guys and Israel is the problem with the United States is ridiculous. And it's become a situation, I will tell you now, on the young conservative world, where like I'm bad because I won't hate on Jewish people. And I don't know how else to say it. That's just the reality of what's happening here. Because I don't think it makes sense to blow off Israel and to leave them in the dust and like cuddle up to Muslim countries that hate us, that we couldn't leave a group of young children in because we wouldn't know what would happen to them. That somehow I'm like an Israeli bot. And that's something we're seeing over and over. I think that Israel is losing the communications game, and that's unfortunate.
Well, I'm smiling because I'm so proud of you, kid, to hear you say that. And I want to just go ahead and let's just lay some cards on the table tonight. Charlie Kirk's been dead 3 weeks yesterday ago. It was 3 weeks ago yesterday that this tragic assassination took place. And I have seen some of the most craziest theories, most craziest conspiracy talk. And one of the streams that's out there is that Israel had a hand even in that. And it's not coming again from, and you mentioned it's not coming from the left, it's coming from the right. And it's coming from these social media influencers. And how does that play? How does the Candace Owen, Tucker Carlson, Matt Gaetz, Margie Taylor Greene, these comments that are just tremendously anti-Semitic, are they playing well in the younger community, or is the younger community seeing through it, or are these social media influences making an inroad to them? I'm curious.
Well, to be really honest, I think that we're in trouble. I think that we have a problem in the anti-Israel, anti-Jewish sentiment. And I'm not talking about people who want to discuss the level of aid we give to Israel or whether or not we should be in certain conflicts. All that, you can discuss it if you want. I'm talking about the anti-Jewish sentiment that's happening here that they're masking as a criticism of Israel. It's not a criticism of Israel to talk about how the Jews are controlling everything and why they're like evil. That's just anti-Semitism. And yet this thing is happening in the right where now if I have a baseline approval of Israel or the Jewish people, I am like a sellout who's been bought by Mossad and the Jewish government. This is the level of delusion that's happening. Absolutely. Candace Owens is a main proponent of it. Candace Owens has been an aggressive proponent of it in a disgusting manner. And I think that overall we're going to see a problem escalate because you can't have both things. You can't have a situation where the Jewish people are blamed for everything, and then also we're elevating Muslims in our country to positions of leadership. I mean, have we gone crazy? Has everyone lost their minds here? Yes, and I have to say, like the test for me is I could leave a school bus of young girls in Israel, and they'd be taken care of, and they'd be safe, and we could go get them back. You cannot leave a school bus of young American children and girls primarily in Qatar or in Palestine. And yet we think these people are our allies, the people who treat us in barbaric ways, who commit acts of terrorism. Where are the examples of the Jewish terrorism that is committed against Americans? It doesn't exist. It's ridiculous. And yet somehow we've gotten to a place where it's becoming a liability to not hate Jewish people on the right. And that's disgusting.
That is the most excellent, well said statement on this I've heard, and I'm deeply appreciative. I'm so proud of you. I could hug you if you wasn't 6,000 miles away from me. But no, I'm serious, kid. I mean that. I'm not being facetious. I'm telling you. I think that is so wise, and I'm so glad to hear you say that. We share the same exact sentiment about this. And you know the horror of it, Magdalen. We're coming up on the 2-year anniversary Tuesday of October the 7th. And I heard a guy this morning on MSNBC. I think we downloaded the clip. Maybe we didn't, but he gave a very interesting take on it. I know we're going to play it probably Monday night if we don't play it tonight, but he gave an interesting take about if America would have had let's say the Mexican government had a cartel unit in it, okay, and these cartels came across the border, and let's just say that they went into a South Texas city or a southern New Mexico city, a southern Arizona city, Southern California city, but mainly Texas, because that's really where the Rio Grande Valley is. That's where a lot of this illegal alien influx and cartels operate. And he made the comment, he said, what would happen if they would have killed proportionately the same number of Israelis that they killed on October the 7th, and that would equal about 30,000 Americans, or 40, depending on which way you do your math. But then he said, what if they was to go to, say, like SMU, the Southern Methodist University, go through the dorms, kidnap 30, 40, 50, 60, 100 kids, take them back over across the American line into Mexico? What do you think the American government would do about that? If we went and destroyed the you-know-what out of Mexico and put a hole in Mexico City the size of the East Coast, do you think anybody would call that a genocide? Do you think the world would sit back and say, hey, the United States is committing genocide against Mexico for defending its people from this barbaric act? Or any nation?
No, and I saw the clip that you're talking about. I remember seeing that, and I thought that was a great explanation of it. The fact is that Hamas walked into a country that was not at war with them and committed an act of massive terrorism similar to 9/11 in comparison to size of casualties, and I think was more barbaric in some ways than 9/11 because of the actual person-to-person torture and the mutilation of people instead of the weapons of mass destruction in the way that they utilized for 9/11 with airplanes. You cannot walk into a sovereign nation, commit an act of mass terror, and then mass kidnappings as well, kidnapping well over 150 people, and then decide that you are the victim because the country responds in kind and is seeking to obliterate you. And I mean, young conservatives are very much anti-Israel. I'm not going to be anti-Israel. I completely understand how we got here. I completely understand how we got to a point where Israel is probably going to eviscerate Palestine. But how are you surprised at this? And this is the criticism I have for conservative commentators. They sit there and they make people think they're speaking in good faith. And they make it seem like it's ridiculous for Israel to still be upset about what happened on October 7th and the following days. They're acting like it's ridiculous. If it's ridiculous for Israel to still be upset about what happened on October 7th, then it's ridiculous for us to be upset about 9/11 or Pearl Harbor. It's a similar rate. And at this point, I have to say, I think Israel is going to continue this. And I don't have, I'm not filled with the ethical issues because, first of all, Hamas runs Palestine. Palestine is Hamas. The idea that it's not is ridiculous. And second of all, not one person in Palestine, this is something people don't realize, Palestinians were offered millions of dollars protection, get out of that situation by private Israeli donors and powerful people across the world. You know, not one Palestinian reached out to anyone to help free a hostage. Those deals were on the table from day one. Not one Palestinian. They've not received any coordination from anyone within Palestine unless they were someone indebted from a foreign nation who was there already. That is disgusting. That would never happen anywhere else in the world.
I can tell you what, it wouldn't happen under President Trump. He wouldn't tolerate it. Nobody would tolerate it. No nation on this planet. Europe wouldn't tolerate it. The Asian nations wouldn't tolerate it. No nation would tolerate it. Israel's the only one that the world expects to sit there and take this and not fight back. And it's wrong. And I'm with Bibi Netanyahu 1,000,000%. And I will tell you this, I don't believe Hamas is going to no more release those hostages than Chris is young and 20 again. And I'm telling you, I think that I felt this is I'll get your opinion about this and we'll move on to something else real quick. Did you think it was wrong for Trump to force him to apologize? There was a story in Breitbart today that apology Monday in the White House that Bibi Netanyahu made to Qatar was actually not really forced on him, but Trump strongly suggested he do it, and it, you know, Trump can be. And basically, I'm thinking to myself, what in the blank is there to apologize for? They were housing these Hamas terrorists, Mag. I mean, what the question is not that Bibi Netanyahu bombed a hotel in Qatar. The question is, why are you housing the Hamas leadership? That's the question.
Yeah.
That question's not been answered by nobody.
No. And I think that the one thing about Bibi is he has to be a little bit more tactful in how he talks about Trump, because he was saying around the world that he's in charge of Trump. And I think Bibi gets a little bit loose-lipped sometimes, but that's what happens to powerful men. Powerful men in those regards, they get arrogant, they say things. So whatever goes on between Bibi and Trump, I think that they understand each other, they've known each other for decades. I sort of defer it to their relationship. But you're right. And I think that the problem here is that the American public, first of all, has a position on Israel that's always been complicated. But second of all, they are so willing, and this is what I find strange, they're so willing to believe it's their fault of the Jews. And it's an odd thing. The level of willingness to believe that Israel is bad and the Jewish people are bad does not make any sense. We literally have no safety concerns in this country by even the most Orthodox Jews. Like if you walk into I'm from New York, if we are walking around at night in an Orthodox Jewish community, I have no concern about assault, about anything. It's just not there. You cannot say that if you're in a Muslim area. So if you take it just on face value of what immigrants from both sides are like when they come to your country, and you're still on the side of the Muslim countries, and particularly Palestine and its allies, mainly Qatar and Iran, the number one state sponsor of terror, and you are a conservative commentator and you are pushing an anti-Israel narrative. I'm not saying you have to be pro-Israel, but if you're pushing an anti-Jewish people narrative, that the Jews are bad, and you're creating a situation where Jewish schools have to have 24/7 SWAT team security, that's private security, then how do you sleep at night? It's ridiculous.
It's the truth. No, you're speaking truth, kid, and I'm so overwhelmingly proud of what you're saying tonight. I really am. It means a lot to your godfather. It means a lot to your friend. And look, I appreciate this insight that you're giving tonight. You're making more sense than people with PhDs. I'll put it to you like this. You're making more sense than politicians, and you're making more sense than these social media darlings that have got millions and millions of followers. And I call them followers. I'm going to go ahead and say it like it is. People that follow this crap are just as guilty as the perpetrators. They are just as guilty of embracing it, to sit there and listen to it and share it out and believe it. And I do want to ask you this. Do you think there is any way that this gets rectified peaceably, or do you think that we're going to be back to ground zero next week? Because tonight's Yom Kippur. This attack in Britain did not help matters today, because Bibi is out there tonight. I mean, look, he's decrying it, and he should. And he's trying to tell the UN, he said, I told you even last week, this is what happens to you and your nations when you allow a Muslim population to run wild and not do something about the Islamic jihadism and clamp down on this jihadism. This is what's going to happen. It's coming to a neighborhood near us here in America. Macklin, we got Sharia law centers popping up everywhere in America in these cities. We got these Dems trying to take over, or these Muslims trying to take over our Congress. We got now one a breath away from New York City's mayorship. I don't know where this has happened, but we're about to be surrounded by people that hate America too. This is the thing we don't realize, I think. These same people that hate Israel and hate the Jews, they hate their country, they hate America. They don't want to be here. They want to see America destroyed too, do they not?
No, they do. And I don't understand how people are this naive and this willing to buy into utter nonsense. And I think Candace Owens has become a real problem in this country. And when she first started out, I was somebody who was like, oh, this woman's crazy. And I will tell you, the conservative beating I took on social media, because I didn't go to like the worshiping of Candace Owens.
I remember
ridiculous.
that.
It was ridiculous. The woman is a lunatic. She has never been completely plugged in. She has no idea what she's talking about. And her Blexit nonsense that I mean, this is one of the few things that with Turning Point, I did not understand how Charlie Kirk was falling for this. She creates Blexit which is supposed to be the black exit of the Democrat Party, which she stole from Brandon Straka, who created the Walkway March. He's a very nice man. So she steals this idea. And, I liked it, what they were doing. We didn't actually have enough people there for the events. They were going out in the street and grabbing different, ethnic people and promising them lunch and free T-shirts to get them into their events. This is who Candace Owens is. And somehow we're now taking her voice on these matters seriously. And I just do not understand how that happened. I think that she has international ties. I think she has Qatari money funding her. I think her husband is involved in some weird stuff, really strange religious stuff that's not about God. It's about some strange cabal power that's going on. That's what everybody reports, and they've been reporting it for years. And he's a really weird person. And he also bought Parler a couple years ago, and no one even mentions it. So Candace Owens has whipped up anti-Jewish hatred in this country. I mean, literally second to people in the 40s. It's an insane level that she's created. So between Candace Owens and Andrew Tate and the Tate brother system, I'm very concerned about the future.
What about Tucker? Tucker right in there in that boat with you?
No. It's bad. I mean, Tucker's an issue. Tucker's been an issue for a long time. And the thing that annoys me about Tucker Carlson is that Tucker Carlson is a grown-up. And he's been in this a long time, and he knows better. And when he would do, a story on a chemical plant that was secretly poisoning everybody, he would break news on important things that we needed to know about. So he launches the Tucker Carlson Network. But here's the problem with this. The Tucker Carlson Network, the start of seed money, comes from a Muslim backer. It comes from a Muslim family. So I think that the Muslim world finally clued into the fact that they could influence American politics, not through the politicians, but through the commentator class. And I would say within 2 years, they have moved the Republican Party to the other spectrum of being pro-Israel, to an anti-Israel sentiment second to none. And the Israeli side, they're just not keeping up. They're just underwater, and I think they have to accept that.
I asked the question tonight while we started. Before you even came on, I put a poll up. Who do you blame for the government shutdown? And right now, it's interesting to me. And I should have put Israel on there because some folks probably blamed Israel for it. But Democrats, 85%, both parties, 13%. Nobody's really blaming the Republicans fully, and 2% are blaming Trump. There must be some Trump haters in the House tonight. But that's hilarious to me. Listen, I'm going to give you some final thoughts. Anything you want to share with us before I let you go tonight? I got to ask you this, and I don't know. I don't mean this to be disrespectful to Catholics, but the Pope tonight made social media headlines not because of his faith, but he blessed a piece of ice. And he has gone woke on the climate change stuff, and people had hopes that this American Pope was not going to go down this road, and sure as you know what, he laid his hand on that piece of ice and prayed a prayer over it. I'm sorry. I'm trying not to laugh about it, but how does that play with young people? I'm just curious, from your perspective, how does this stuff play with y'all from the Catholic perspective?
Oh, it's humiliating. To be honest with you, it's just humiliating. And I saw this tweet, and I don't remember who it was, but it was Nigerian Christians are being murdered.
They are.
They're going into churches in America and shooting people. Our Catholic elementary schools are under siege, and he's blessing ICE. And it was funny, but it was also very true. We're in a place of serious problems here, where there is a problem in the system of Catholicism where the biggest issues that are the biggest indicators that Christian people are genuinely under siege are just being ignored. Nobody's talking about them. And for a long time, the Catholic Church has been growing, and that's true. But the flip side of that is the Catholic Church has not grown in political power in the United States. Protestantism has. And one of the things that I think is important here is that a lot of young people may be joining the Catholic faith. That's true. But if you are getting politically involved, you're not going to a Catholic church. You're going to a Protestant church. And that's something that continues to evolve and grow. And I think right now the Protestant church pretty much is what's saving America from total collapse at any given point.
No, I'm with you, kid. I think that's wisdom. Listen, you've always done a wonderful job, and tonight I'm going to tell you, if I've ever been more proud of you, I am super, super, super proud of your insight on this Jewish thing more than you'll ever know. Because I'm on an island with this too. Because we're one of the few voices that have stayed firm and stayed true to what you've pretty much explained tonight of who the real culprit is in this and who the real the one that we need to be supporting the American people or not. You know, there's a poll out yesterday that the support for Jewish people in this country is at its lowest in nearly 30 years right now. And a lot of that's attributed to the Democrats, but it's not just the Democrats, it's these right-wing people too. It's not just one party that's responsible for that. And I know it's a spiritual issue to it, but it is sad that we cannot support our only ally in the Middle East. These Arab countries would destroy us in 3 seconds if they had the power to do it. And I don't understand what part of that people don't get. I've never understood. And I think you said something tonight, and it makes the election of Mandami up in New York make a lot more sense to me. That we have so trashed Israel, we've so trashed the Jews, that we have literally opened the door for this Muslim sentiment that people look at the Muslims as the solution. They think the Muslims are okay, and I think that that's a sad footnote on state of affairs where we're at tonight, kid. I'll let you wrap us up on that.
Well, it is. It's a very big problem, and I think that it's going to get much, much worse. And the truth is, the American people have entered into a state of complete delusion. And the problem is we don't have an infrastructure to push back because somehow I think Muslim money has influenced the American political system so much that we don't even understand it. And when I speak to people like you or other people who are living in reality, I mean, we all say to each other, like, how did this happen? And the truth is a few people, mainly Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson, allowed themselves to be bought at such an extreme level that they were able to influence younger people. And the disconnect here is that if you support the Muslim nations, let's say that you get exactly what you want. Israel stops the supposed genocide in Gaza. They stop all of this. They pull out. Okay, so when that happens, and then Muslim countries come together to destroy Israel, and Europe is flooded with migrants, and there is no more security between Israel and the United States in terms of intelligence, and we no longer know when proposed terror attacks are happening, or even the latest intel in the region, and America is filled with terrorist attacks and filled with migrants because a Democrat president got in, are you still going to feel so righteous for supposedly hating Jews who are just trying to live out their lives here and build businesses and have a good life? The fake righteousness and the fake, like, oh, I'm so clued in and you're not, literally has the ability to destroy this country.
With you 1,000,000%. With you 1,000,000%. Listen, we're going to be doing a special Tuesday night on October the 7th, and I may be calling on you. We may put a panel together. And hang loose, because I may have you back here Tuesday, okay? And I'd have you every week if I could get you. But listen, I appreciate you being with me. You know, I love you to death, and I appreciate your insights tonight. I'm going to let you go. And you take care of yourself up there, and I'll see you soon, okay? God bless.
Sounds good. Thank you.
You too, hon. God bless. Magdalene Rose, everybody. Put some fire in that house. I tell you, that kid, I could just give her one big hug for that interview tonight. I tell you what, that's why she is the future host of the McFiles. I know this much. If this show ever ceased to be because the host ceased, I'm almost tearing up thinking about it. She has got the stuff. She's got the right stuff. I hope you young people are listening to her tonight. I hope you young conservatives are listening to her. You need to listen to Magdalene Rose. Us older conservatives need to listen to Magdalene Rose. Us old fogies would be wise to listen to that young lady and take some advice from her. I think I'll amen myself on that. Anyway, good stuff. 65 votes. Keep voting out there. Who do you blame for the government shutdown? I should have put Israel in there. I guarantee you some individual out there would have probably said Israel was part of it. 86-12 right now. Democrats to both. The Republicans, nobody is blaming the Republicans for it tonight. They're blaming both parties. 12% are blaming both parties. 2% is blaming Trump. Jay, you're saying the Wahhabi Saudis are trying to get away with oil, buying up things like Lucid Motor and what was that thing with the PGA? I don't know, Jay. I don't worry about the Saudis. I could care less about them. That's not what I'm here to talk about tonight. I don't care. I don't care what they're buying up and what they're not. It's not going to affect me. It's not going to affect you. I wouldn't lose any sleep over it. Trust me. It's not the issue tonight. But I do want to play a few clips for you tonight before we let you go. If you got a question, please put it in the house. We've got some interesting clips to play. By the way, this is, we're going to come over here to our video clips section, and I'm going to come on the camera here with you to keep you company so you won't think I'm talking out of a tunnel and been kidnapped or something. Did Magdalen Rose do such a good job tonight? I'm proud of that kid. I tell you what, I was sitting here and I was thinking, my goodness, I could just, I've never been more proud of her ever than listening to her talk tonight about Israel. I really mean that. By the way, tonight, folks, is Yom Kippur. I'll explain what that means before we get out of here, and we'll talk about it in the Bible study in the morning. This is Lawrence Jones this morning, basically putting Janine Sheehan in her place, who's claiming that this shutdown is not about insurance to illegal aliens. Roll the tape.
I haven't heard anybody in my party saying that illegal immigrants should get access to the health insurance marketplace.
I'm so glad you said that. Actually, I have some tape of your Democratic Party members saying this on the debate stage. So they've all said it. Let's play the clip.
A lot of you have been talking tonight about these government health care plans that you proposed in one form or another. This is a show of hands question, and hold them up for a moment so people can see. Raise your hand if your government plan would provide coverage for undocumented immigrants. Okay.
Senator, that's literally every member of your party, from moderate to more progressive, that have said that in the past.
And she's shaking her head. Even when presented with reality, she shakes her head. Nobody on the Democrat side will tell you the truth. That's exactly what even Hakeem Jeffries today went on Jake Tapper. Jake Tapper read him literally this document right here, if I can find it, basically, which is the Dems' reason for shutting the government down. Other health provisions, folks, if you look right there, alien Medicaid eligibility. Alien Medicaid eligibility. This is their provisions in their counter proposal to Trump. They're wanting to give illegal aliens Medicaid. They want to give illegal aliens insurance. But that moron right there, and I hate to do this. I'm just over being nice about it. These illiterate morons and these liars. They're nothing but liars. I don't know who it was last night. It was Wednesday night that we're praying for our nation. And one of the things, may have been Sheila Daspert, she prayed, she said, please, Lord, save us in this country from these liars. Presented with the facts, Janine Sheehan's shaking her. No, they didn't say that. Well, it's right there in black and white, Jean. You might want to check your party, check your sombrero at the door, because that's exactly what you are believing. And that is exactly what you want. This is Chris Cuomo tonight. And again, Chris Cuomo's not a raging conservative. This is for all you folks who think it's both parties tonight.
What you are about to hear from the Democrats is not true.
The Republican partisan spending bill that they introduced is not clean. Well, first of all, let's be clear. It's not a clean bill, it's a dirty bill. Well, that's all a lie. It's not a clean continuing resolution.
Listen, I like Hakeem Jeffries. I think he's got an amazing future. He's got better fights than this. This is a clean CR. What does that mean, by the way? Continuing resolution. Instead of passing a real budget like they should, this just says, hey, remember the last one? Let's just continue at those levels again, all right? Now, that may mean that certain people who should get less won't, certain people who need more won't, but a clean CR means that this is an extension from the last set of, in this case, Biden's spending levels. Okay? That's what a clean CR is. This is a clean CR. Wait a minute. Cuomo disagrees with Jeffries. Jeffries must be right. Don't take my word. Take the word from the nonpartisan committee for a responsible federal budget. They say this is about as clean a CR as you could get. Okay? Again, it's a continuation of a March stopgap measure. All right? Essentially a continuation of spending levels from Biden, absent about $13 billion. But when you look at it as a function of the pie, it's literally a rounding error. I don't like that. It's a lot of money, but it's a rounding error. Again, don't take my word for it. How about taking this guy's word?
Allowing Donald Trump to take even much more power via a government shutdown is a far worse option.
That was March 2025.
I believe it is my job to make the best choice for the country to minimize the harms to the American people. Therefore, I will vote to keep the government open and not shut it down.
And that CR he voted for is the same as this one. So
Same as this one. So what's the difference? I'll tell you what the difference is. Illegal aliens, folks. Illegal aliens. They want you to pay for their health care. They want you to pay for transgender surgeries. They want you to pay for genital mutilation. Harvard put a drag queen tonight in place of one of their professors to teach RuPaul's drag queen party. I didn't know if there was such a class. Harvard. There's a transgender drag queen running for California State Senate, and Jesse played it on his show tonight. It's perverse. I was sick to my stomach. I'm serious. I literally got sick to my stomach watching it. I had to turn it off. This is what they're wanting. This is the difference. By the way, speaking of illegals, here is Elon Abrego Omar, whatever his name is. I can't ever pronounce these names. He's not going to be enjoying Christmas with the folks here in America. He's going to be enjoying Christmas with the folks in Uganda.
Fox News alert, adios Kilmar. The Maryland dad's going to be gone for good. Where's his next home? Senior national correspondent Kevin Cork has the details. Kevin.
Evening, Jesse. As they say at the end of the night at the nightclub, you ain't got to go home, but you got to get up out of here. And for Abrego Garcia, yeah, that's the case. The illegal alien and accused MS-13 gang member is on his way out. A final order of removal will stand after an immigration judge rejected a motion from his lawyers to reopen the case. Now, you'll recall back in August, his attorneys petitioned to reopen the case because they were afraid of imminent removal to Uganda. You know, after DHS notified him that, yeah, you might be sent to that country. But today, the judge said DHS merely conveyed that it reserved the right to send him to Uganda, not that it necessarily intended to. And on X, as you can well imagine, they're celebrating. They're saying with today's ruling, Kilmar Abrego Garcia's final order of removal stands. This MS-13 gang member, human trafficker, domestic abuser, and child predator will never be loose on American streets. Now, the Post also noted that, some Democrats flew to a foreign land on the U.S. taxpayers' dime to break bread and have drinks with this terrorist gang member, visiting him while he was in prison. And if that wasn't bad enough, people really made the point that, listen, they're out there visiting this guy instead of looking out for the safety of the American people and putting that first, which is their job. Now, currently...
And I'll stop it right there. It's just, he gives a lot more legalese about it. Christopher Van Hollen, you Maryland folks got to be real proud of Chris. These are the bunch, this bunch is the ones that are standing in the way of the government tonight. So you 12% out there that believe it's both parties, please explain to me what the Republicans have done to shut the government down. Please explain that to me. You 2% out there that believe it's Trump's fault, give me a break. I just put that as tongue-in-cheek. I was just curious who would take the bait on that. But if you're going to put something out there, at least come in the chat and tell us why, instead of being a bunch of cowards. I mean, for God's sake, it's stupid. No, it's not the Republicans' fault. It's not both parties' fault tonight. It's not Trump's fault. It's all on the Dems. They're wanting to protect people like this. Well, the judge tonight said, bye-bye, adios, enjoy Christmas in Africa. Good for them. Good for them. Let me go back to Israel a minute. By the way, this is something precious you're going to see. This is a bunch of Christians in Munich, Germany tonight. They were standing around. We're going to talk about the Israeli bombing, and we're going to let you go tonight. This is Christians in Munich, Germany, that formed a circle today in solidarity to make sure this German mosque was not, or this German synagogue was not mocked.
Juden hassen ganzem Land, haltet fest zusammen, wer
That, again, was a group of German Christians of all, you can tell that they were a lot of nationalities, and it seems like a lot of different denominations maybe in that. But they were all there today to let the Jewish people know at that synagogue, we may not see eye to eye on Jesus, but we love you. And we're going to stand in front of this synagogue to make sure it's not bombed. That's faith, folks. I wonder if us Christians here in America would have the courage to do such. I'm just asking for a friend. Just asking for a friend. God bless those Christians in Germany. There's at least a few left in this world. This is the idiot. This is the monster today. He's not an idiot. He's a monster. This is from Brandon Gill's Twitter handle. Brandon Gill, by the way, is married to Dinesh D'Souza's daughter. And Dinesh has got a movie coming out Monday called The Dragon's Prophecy. I encourage you to go see it. And there's another movie I encourage you to watch tomorrow if you've got Prime Video. This is called October the 7th. This is a documentary. It's going to be available tomorrow on Prime. And it is made by Sophia Miriam. She's an Israeli viewer, october7film.com. And it's going to be basically eyewitnesses to the massacre. And I think every American needs to watch it. I think all you anti-Semites need to sit down and watch this before you start posting your nonsense continually. Maybe Candace Owens needs to be sent a copy of it, and Tucker and Margie Taylor Greene and Matt Gaetz and a few others that don't seem to have any moral clarity about this. Congressman Gill, this bearded man today, was the one that carried out the deadly car ramming and stabbing attack in Manchester, England. His name is literally Jihad. Jihad al-Sami, a Syrian immigrant who was naturalized in the UK, and I don't have any more of that from Andy Nagoa's Twitter handle. They thought those were bombs on his belt. They wasn't sure. I never got confirmation of that this morning when we went on. We had a Facebook Live. We talked about this morning. 2 people are dead, 3 are injured, and the police shot him before he could do any more damage. But that is the history. That is the future. Now, this is not the story tonight. The story is this next video, because just less than 24 hours after that attack in Israel, in Manchester, at the synagogue, this is basically Muslims protesting the streets of London tonight. Basically, this saying that you're hearing is basically saying, cut the heads off all Jews, behead all Jews, destroy Israel, destroy America, but it's mainly to the Jews. They're wanting their heads cut off. Our cities are being taken over across the world, folks. They were basically saying, cut the heads off of all the Jews. That's the South Georgia translation of what they were saying. It was on the X account. We pulled that off of. Basically, behead the Jews and behead anybody that does not submit to Islam. That's the South Georgia translation. This is, let's see here. There's another video I had of that tonight. Is it down here at the bottom? There was another one, a darker video, actually at night. It was during the nighttime hours. I'll find it for either tomorrow night or Monday. This is a picture of another synagogue, and I'm going to give you a guess where this synagogue is. It's not overseas. This is a synagogue in the center of New York City. And this is Josh Wolf, and he says, imagine when Mandami becomes New York City mayor, defunding the NYPD or repositioning them away from known threats on lives of Jews at synagogues and schools. This is a dog whistle for violence, murder, and intifada. The police are standing in front of that synagogue in New York City today to make sure no malfeasance is done to it. Mandami's promised that the police are not going to be able to do that anymore. It's open season on Jews, according to Mandami. I think this is it right here. This is the Israeli Prime Minister basically telling these monsters tonight, that were marching and protesting in support of the killer, that they were a bunch of fools. Roll the tape. He's telling them they're terrorists.
תומכי רוצחים. אגב, האוניות שלהם נמצאו קרחנה שלמה. הם לא באו באמת, לא למשט, לא לעזור, אלא הם באו בעד עזה, בעד הטרוריסטים. אלה טרוריסטים. הם תומכי טרור.
מה זה פה?
הספינה שלהם, המפכ"ל בדיוק מראה לי את זה, יחד עם מפקד מחוז דרום. מחפשים כאן סיוע הומניטרי. יש כאן מטרנה אחד.
מה זה? זה סיוע הומניטרי? אני לא רואה פה שום דבר.
יש כאן מטרנה אחד, כמו שהמפכ"ל אומר, ונראה כל חינגה אחת גדולה. איזה חינגה יש כאן? לא סיוע ולא הומניטרי.
Actually, this is the flotilla that Greta Thunberg was on. It wasn't the protest. I forgot. This was the flotilla thing. By the way, this is Greta. This is going to make you laugh. This is sort of lighten the mood. I'm going to find that other video. We're going to be done here in a minute and start taking your questions. This is Greta Thunberg. Got to watch this all the way to the end, though. Roll the tape.
My name is Greta Thunberg. I'm a citizen of Sweden. If you are watching this video, I have been abducted and taken against my will by Israeli forces. Our humanitarian mission was non-violent and abiding by international law. Please tell my government to demand my and the others' immediate release.
My name is Joachim Lamotte and I'm a Swedish citizen. If you see this video, Greta Thunberg has been abducted by Israeli forces. And I have a message from the Swedish people to the Israeli government. Please keep her. We have had her so many years in Sweden and we cannot stand it anymore. So you are doing us a really big favor right now. Thank you very much.
I'm sorry. That man deserves an Oscar. Oh, that man deserves an Oscar. I watched that. I had to play that one. Oh, that was some good stuff. Keep her. Just keep her. Just keep her. This is unrelated tonight, but I sure do like this guy. I wish I could get his name because I think we'd have him on the McFiles faith chat. This is what you do, neighbor. This is how you preach it.
This is not a real church. Jesus Christ says, repent, repent, repent. This is not the church of God. This is not, I'm being right here. This is not the church. I rebuke this in Jesus' name. I rebuke this false church in Jesus' name. You're leading people to hell. You're leading all these young people to hell with this false gospel and this false Jesus. I rebuke you in Jesus' name. I rebuke you in Jesus' name. I rebuke you in Jesus' name. Using Christ's name in perversion. Using Christ's name in perversion. No, this is the synagogue of Satan. This is the synagogue of Satan. And see, this is the issue with this group of people. They feel entitled. Y'all feel entitled. You think you run the world. You don't run the world. You're under the same constitution as everybody else. So you come out to a public street, you don't own this street. I hope by now, especially if you're going to promote the church, you should expect pushback, right? You should expect opposition. Everybody's not going to agree. Okay, but don't try to get rid of us. Don't be rude. No, I was being godly and biblical. Paul tells us to contend for the faith. And you know this message is pricking your heart right now. You know this message is pricking your heart. You know this is wrong. You know you can't use LGBTQ and pride and try to mask it under the church umbrella and think that it's okay. There's going to be judgment for this. I'm trying to help you guys. I'm trying to help you guys.